Are you looking for true personal freedom? The freedom to design a life you truly desire? Then you're absolutely in the right place. True personal freedom comes from when you take 100% responsibility and control of your money and your mind. Here you're going to learn ideas, tips, and wisdom that's going to help you bridge the gap from where you are now to your dream life in the future. My name is Randy Wilson, and welcome to the Rich Mind Podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Rich Mind Podcast. And today I'm coming to you with all kinds of different emotions going on in my mind, which is why I wanted to hit record here today and try to verbalize some of those emotions to hopefully give you some encouragement. I just try to give you a little bit of a peek behind the scenes as far as what's going on in my life and how you might be able to take some of those experiences and relate them to your own, right? That's exactly what I've done in my journey of trying to gain personal freedom in my life through financial education, through the personal development, the things that we talk about and advocate here on the podcast. So let me share a little bit of a story. I'm super excited. I'm super nervous. I'm super anxious. A lot of the things that are coming up in my mind, I've got all of them going on all at the same time. But the good news is what I've discovered over the last few years is that when I start to have these feelings, when I start to feel anxious, when I start to feel a little nervous about a potential opportunity, I know that I'm on the verge of breaking through to something bigger than I could have ever imagined before the opportunity presented itself. So let me share a couple stories and see if I can't help kind of shed a little bit of light on what I mean by what I'm saying here. I'll go back to a couple of years ago. And one thing you've heard me talk about here on the podcast is the importance of getting into rooms, bigger rooms than what you're comfortable with. Start to meet and get to know folks that are living life at the level that you desire. And you determine what that level is. There is no right, there is no wrong. It's whatever feels best for you. But what I can tell you for myself is that a few years ago, I had the urge and the desire to get into a room of investors and real estate investors and business owners, people that are living life at a higher level. And I'll tell you that when I showed up at that event, it's been almost 3 years ago now, I was so nervous, anxious. I questioned the entire time as far as before the event started. So we arrived early, a day early, and prior to the event starting, the entire day leading up to the first meeting of the event, I was in my own head so bad. I wanted to basically just crawl in a hole and not come back out. I mean, I felt so bad physically. It was actually making myself physically not feel well. Usually for me, physically, I'll get sweats or tired. A lot of times I feel tired when my subconscious mind is fighting back as far as trying to keep me in a perceived safe place. But what I can tell you from that experience is that pushing through and arriving, showing up, being attentive, being friendly, just showing up and being me allowed me to step into an uncomfortable situation, and it turned out to be a fantastic situation by the end of the time. So with that story, I just realized for myself that pushing myself beyond that limit of that comfort zone was actually a very positive thing, and I was able to turn that perceived negative into a positive. So that's one thing for sure. So let's talk about having vision a little bit. So a lot of times, as I mentioned about the conference that I attended, that was something, a desire that I had had for quite some time before I actually took action. And when that opportunity showed up for me to get into the room, I didn't question it. I stepped into it. I took massive action. I signed up, paid the fee, booked the flights, booked the hotel, did all the things required to show up in the room, which allowed me then to step into and be the best person I possibly could for that environment. So having that vision of the outcome that I desired, even though it was an uncomfortable outcome, was the beginning part of that process. So here recently, I would say over the last 12 months or so, I've been having an idea or a desire. I'm in business, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm looking for ways to serve many people, right? So I'm trying to figure out different ways, different business ideas that I could do basically from home, right? That's kind of the idea, is to work from home. I don't necessarily, personally, this is me personally, I don't necessarily want a brick and mortar store. I don't necessarily want a lot of employees. I don't I don't want different parts of business. I mean, there's so many different ways to go to business, and I will record an episode that I have an idea for that one as well, as far as going into like different levels of what business actually can be. But for me, I wanted to keep it super simple, but obviously very productive. I don't have a problem working, but at the same time, I want to make sure that the work that I'm doing is being very productive. So the idea that I had, my wife and I, over the years, we've been involved in multiple network marketing industry businesses, right? So the idea there is that you're going to provide a product or service to the customers at large, right? So the idea is that there's already a system in place that you can plug into and go to work, right? And we've had mixed level of success. We've had some success in some and not so much in others. So a few months ago, I had the vision or the idea that that was something that I was curious about. If I could find another opportunity that would be beneficial for me, obviously the product would have to be fantastic. The opportunity would have to be fantastic. Just everything needed to align. And so here's the funny part about the being excited today and having the vision, and then having knowing that when you start feeling this anxiety, that you're on the verge of something big. So what has happened is over about a little more than a week ago, I was at another conference. So as you might imagine, as I've stepped into that uncomfortableness in that first conference, I've been able to step into more conference rooms, right? Meet, greet, and get to know folks at a higher level, which has been super fantastic. The amount of networking has been a lot of fun. But so at this conference, it was 2 days. It was a Friday and Saturday, and a room full of about, I would say, about 50 people. And the thing about conferences like this is, even though you have 2 days, you don't always get to meet everybody, which is kind of interesting. You start getting into conversations with folks, and they're great conversations, which lead into long conversations, which doesn't allow you then to almost get to meet everybody. But fast forward a little bit. Very end of the conference, I'm helping the host clean up a little bit. I'm actually literally pouring some half drank water bottles down the drain, and standing at the sink. And I look over to my right hand side, and there's a gentleman standing there, and I'd seen him the entire weekend. Right, actually, we were probably about 3 or 4 seats away the entire weekend, but we just never struck up a conversation. And so this was late at night. It was time to leave. And what happened is, like I said, I looked over to my right, I saw him, and just struck up a conversation, just basic, saying, "Hey, I know we haven't had a chance to meet. Kind of, what's your story?" And he went into telling me that his business and his main source of income for the last decade or more has been through a network marketing opportunity, which, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that was something that was top of mind for me, uh, just going into the conference, right? It's not that I went to the conference looking for that, but at the same time, because I had the desire, because it's something that I've been looking for him to say that to me, it's like alarm bells started going off in my mind. It's like, wow, I need to get to know this gentleman, right? I need to ask more questions. I need to get more information, which is exactly what happened. And that's part of the ironic part about the story I wanted, this story is that you don't know what that opportunity will be when it presents itself. Opportunities are everywhere. If you're focused on the desire that you're looking for, you will see different opportunities when they're presented to you. Now, some of them may be right for you, some of them may be not. I'm hoping that this opportunity I've discovered is going to be fantastic. And so my wife and I were going to jump in and get active and see if we can't build some momentum, sharing fantastic things with a lot of our friends and family. So that's the goal at this point. But the idea, though, is that now, because of this new opportunity, anxiety is starting to creep in. My self doubt is starting to creep in. All of the things that I have had in the past, times, like I said, before I attended that conference, the day I decided I was going to finally leave the W 2 world and stop trading my time for dollars. A lot of times in my life, I've had to stretch myself beyond my comfort zone. And what I've discovered is, as I do that, bigger and better things are right around the corner, right? So that's the exciting part about this opportunity today. So as I mentioned, my wife and I were going to be jumping in, and we're going to see if we can't take this opportunity and help a lot of people. That's the idea. That's the beautiful part about business, is if you get in the mindset that you're doing it for other people, the sky's the limit on where you can go. And that's super exciting. And that's what's going to be the drive for us going forward. But understand that the uncomfortableness, having the anxiety, not necessarily knowing a particular outcome, that's when you should be excited to know that you're on the verge of breaking through to potential some momentum that will definitely change your life currently and the trajectory that you're on moving forward for you and your family. So hopefully that message serves you today. I just wanted to share that story that's been happening here in the last few days, right? So I'm having some anxiety. I'm having some self-doubt. We all have it. I don't care what level of success you've had in your life. In my experience, we all suffer from it at different levels, right? Some of us have it more, some of us have it less. But the point is that it's still there, and it's learning how to control those things through the other items and things that we discuss here on the podcast. So as I mentioned, hopefully you found that message valuable. If you did, I'd appreciate it. Would you mind sharing it with folks? The idea is that I want to try to help as many people as I possibly can gain control and gain some personal freedom in their life, taking control of their money and their mind. So until the next episode, I look forward to connecting again with you all very soon. And until then, bye now. Thank you for joining me on the Rich Mind Podcast. I hope you found a ton of value in this episode. If so, I'd really appreciate a 5-star review, and you can also share it with your family and friends. And as my mentor Jim Rohn shared with me, in order to have more, you must first become more. And in order to become more, you must work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So go out there today and work harder on yourself to become more and build the life of your dreams. Until next time, my friends.